Welcome guys, welcome. In this video, we are going to talk about jQuery attribute selectors. From the previous videos that you have watched from the playlist, we have discussed the jQuery selectors, which are basic and the hierarchy. So in this video, we are going to focus on the attribute selectors. I hope you enjoy the video. So let's move with the screen and there you go. So in this page or in this example page, let's check the elements tab so we can see what's the elements inside the page. So basically we have three labels and we have three inputs. So those input texts, those inputs that have attributes wherein we can play with them as we learn the attribute selectors. And let's double check if we can change the source scripts here in the index.js file under the scripts folder. So to double check, I'll just click this and let me scripts select folder. Yeah, so I'll be able now to, let's say, comment that out and then refresh the page. Doesn't save. Let me try that again. Add workspace, then let's say source, select folder. Yeah, so I need to allow again, then refresh the page. Now let me comment this so I can change, refresh. Yeah, now that I can change the file index.js, let's start. So for those who are working with Visual Studio Code or you have local code within your computer, you can do what I have did a moment ago, so you can directly change the scripts that you have or a script file that you have on your local machine. Okay, again, let's refresh. Going back to the index.js. So we have here, so element attribute, so selects that match attribute. So as you can see, the input placeholder, this 1, 2, 3, I believe this input text have a placeholder. So we'll be expecting 3 elements here on the console. There you go. So we have first name is being highlighted on the page, last name also being highlighted, and the age. Let's say I'll click this last name. So as you can see on the elements tab, we'll be able to see that this text or input text does have a placeholder. Okay, hopefully you got that. Then let's move forward on the next one. Let me escape to close the console and let me comment this. So we have room on the next example. Then refresh the page. Then here we go. So the next one we have here to do, select element that contains an attribute that match the value. So I believe this please put age. I believe this is a placeholder of the age. So we'll be expecting here that in every input that has a placeholder and equal to please put age, I'm expecting that we'll be seeing one element on the console. So press escape to see the console log. So there you go. So we have input age. So as you can see on the screen, it's being highlighted. Let me go to that on the element tab. So we have here a placeholder that's have a value of please put age. Okay, I hope you got that, guys. So let's move forward. Again, clicking escape to close the console and going back to the source tab and comment this out to have room for the next example. So we have here, so to do, I need an element that has an attribute that contains and that begins with that value. So as you can see here, we need an input that has a placeholder that begins with please. So I believe we have 3 text box or input text that starts with please. So as you can see on the top of the screen, we have first name, please put first name. On the last name, please put last name. Also on the age, please put age. So let's uncomment this out. So we're expecting 3 results on the console. So by pressing escape again to see the results. So there you go. We have 3 results. So let's say the last name is being highlighted on the screen and let's click it so we can see it on the elements tab. So we have here a placeholder, which is a last name that starts with please. Again, let me go back to the sources tab and click escape to close the console. Then comment this again to have a room on the next example. Now what we have here is the next example. We need an element that starts or that has an attribute that either begin with a value followed by a hyphen. So a good example of this is the lang attribute. So for example, we have en. So we're expecting that an input that has an attribute of lang which has an en on its start. So that starts with an en, yeah, that begins with an en. So let's uncomment out the console log. So let's see the result. Press escape. Yeah, so we have age. So when we click age, so yes, so there we go. We have a lang attribute that starts with an en. How about if just in case the lang doesn't have an hyphen? Let's try to see if it will work. Okay, closing the console again by pressing escape. Let me comment this. Let's move on the next example. Again, within the uh, same same example, but different language. So we have here ES. So I believe ES is Spanish. So let's try to see the console. Looking at it, we have last name. So let's try to see last name. Yes, so because it starts with ES, so yeah, so it also appears as part of the result, even though it doesn't have an hyphen. How about I put a space there, then yeah, I think you need to save the page. Let's go back to the HTML. Let's just put a space there. Or yeah, just a space. Yeah. No. Sources. So we're expecting console log inputs 5. Let's see the result. Yeah, so we don't have a result for that. So always remember that this attribute selects an element that either begins with the value or followed by a hyphen or equal to the value. Yeah, so getting that back again, we'll be expecting one result on the inputs 5. Yeah, so there you go. So hopefully that you got that, guys. Now let me close that again. Now for the next example, we have what would you have here? So selects an element that contains an attribute and ends with a value. So I believe we have name on both first name and last name. The placeholder ends with name. So as you can see on the selector, we have said that and we need an input that has a placeholder that ends with name. So we're expecting two results from the console, at the console. Yeah. So we have first name and last name. Let's just say we're gonna choose last name to double check. There we go. So we have last name. What if we change last name into last names? So last name, let's change it to please put last names. Let's just see if the attribute selector that we have will work. Now going back, um, there you go. So input 6 console. Input 6, yeah. So we only have one result because the end of this placeholder ends with names, not name. So that's why we only have one result. Yeah, so this is the first name and this is the last name, which ends with S. Okay, let us edit that, remove the S to get back to the uh, expected result, which is two text boxes. Yeah, so Moving on, guys. So let's move to the next example. I'm doing those some quite editing to show you guys to show you some more results based on the results that we have. Then on the next or on the last example, yeah. So here it says select an element that don't contain an attribute with value with that value. Yeah. So here we're saying that inside a form, we're expecting that all elements, uh, the ID doesn't need to be empty. So we're expecting a lot here. So let's try to see the result. Yeah, so there we go. So we have 5 because the label, let's try to see, it does have an ID with a value. Then let's choose another one. Let's say the last name. Yeah, so sorry about that. So it has an ID that is equivalent to last name. So it means the ID has a value. Now the question here is, do we have a label or a input type that equal to text that doesn't have that does have an ID which is an empty or doesn't have any value? So we have here the age label. That's why it's not part of the result. So as you can see, we only have label 1, label 2, and we no longer see the label for the age. So let's try to put a value for that. So LBL3. And then when we refresh this, let's check the console and see if label 3 was part of the result. Yes. So LBL3 is part of the result. So previously it wasn't because the ID doesn't have any value. So hopefully guys you have understand those examples, and hopefully you have enjoyed the video. So see you on the next video guys. Cheers, bye bye.